everyone. Let me also start off by first of all thanking all the organizers for getting the networks together. I think it's a huge effort to organize such an event, but I also would like to thank all of you for finding time in your busy schedules and actually taking part in this meeting. I know that this time before summer holidays for most people is a very hectic, very busy time, so it's much appreciated that everybody found time to come here. Before I will start talking about what I actually want to talk about, I think it's a few words of introduction as to what is justice and environment are in order, because I think I definitely am not the youngest person in the room, but I think it's quite suitable that I, as still quite a young person, am introducing the youngest of these networks, because Justice and Environment was, I had to look it up on the website actually, was set up in 2003 and started out from the Visegrad region and then has spread further away field in Europe. And what maybe sets our network apart from the other networks is our focus, because due to the membership and their interest, our focus is mainly on the European Union level. As you all know, European Union, although losing its clout somewhat in the world, economically, as a soft power, still is an important player, also when it comes to environmental policy and legislation. So hopefully what we do and aim to do in Europe actually bears relevance to the whole planet as such. But coming to what I actually want to talk about, I wasn't quite sure what I should say, but then there was a very helpful hint in the schedule or the agenda, saying that at the end of this block there will be summarizing expectations. So I thought I'd talk about my expectations as well. But if you allow me, I will just use a few minutes of your time and start from a bit further away, trying to give it a bit of a context to my expectations. So I don't think I exaggerate when I say that we're living in interesting times indeed. On one hand, we're bearing witness to environmental destruction at an unprecedented level and rate. And I guess a lot of the destruction we've done in the past, especially when it comes to climate change, is only beginning to show its full effects. I'm not sure if you know about it. Those who live in Europe most probably do. You don't need to look far away to look at the signs of that in Europe. Paris had some of the worst floods in a century just last week. At the same time, north of Europe is experiencing unprecedented heat and drought for this time of year. If you talk about heat waves, just think about what happened in the Central Europe last summer. So I mean, the signs are there. You need to be blind in order to not believe that the climate is changing, and we are still contributing to it at an alarming rate. Same goes for biodiversity. It's a problem globally, and despite all the efforts made by European countries and the European Union as such, the latest State of the Nature report drawn up by the European Environmental Agency, which was published last year, shows that biodiversity also within the European Union, who actually has this goal by 2020 to halt biodiversity loss. Well, bad news. We're very, very far away from there. There are still pressures such as intensive industrial agriculture that just are not dealt with. Well, that's the bad news. Good news, on the other hand, is that if you think about how aware an average citizen is about these problems, then I think I'm not also exaggerating when I'm saying that the level of awareness of environmental problems has also reached unprecedented levels. So I guess there's still a glimmer of hope there. But turning again to the challenges we are facing nowadays, there are actually quite a few. Starting from the political level, using the latest financial crisis and its still lasting effects on many economies around the world, including in Europe, a lot of vested interests are using this as pretext to still continue environmentally harmful, short-term, financial profit-oriented business making, trying to, although all the signs are there, although some political and growing political will, or political, let's say, will from the people is there, the politicians seem quite reluctant to act upon it. We did have a breakthrough last December in Paris when we actually signed a climate deal, but the problem with that deal is that it still only provides us a framework that needs national or in the case of EU, supranational efforts. If you look at what the European Commission is doing at the moment, the European Commission says that they're doing fine. There's nothing that they need to change. Their ambition is high enough. It's the other laggards who need to catch up with us. Is that the sort of is that the sort of attitude that we need at the moment? I hardly believe so. And that's only the political level, because if you look at the level of administration, you'll have problems there too. The financial crisis and the following austerity has, decimated the ranks of public officials, and I would imagine that the environmental sector, the governmental authorities who actually are responsible for environmental protection, they were the first ones to be laid off. Unproductive or even counterproductive, if you look at it in economic terms, and if you use the word economic in this very short-sighted neoliberal way, if I may curse out loud. And the results are, of course, yet again there. You don't need to look very far. In Europe, we had what they nowadays call the Dieselgate. Dieselgate, which was both enabled by, firstly, lack of political will to do anything about the car emissions, and secondly, really poor oversight. The same applies to nature conservation efforts in EU. The laws are there. There is strong case law from the European Court of Justice on how nature conservation within the Natura network should be carried out. But if you look at what's happening in member states, it's far from the idea. And yet again, the main problem is the lack of will or capacities of the administration. So this all leads to what I expect from this meeting, or how I see the role of environmental lawyers in this world, in this situation I just described to you. I think environmental lawyers, let's not be overly modest. We have a very important role to fulfill in all this. First of all, it's a twofold role actually. On one hand, in cases where we lack the political will, lawyers have proven themselves to be effective tools for pressuring and creating that political will. Just think about the Urgenda case in Netherlands, where an NGO with the help of lawyers actually have forced, we'll see that it's under appeal now, but they at least won it in the first instance, forcing their government to take action on climate change. Same thing happening in the US, as far as I know. Our Children's Trust, yeah? I was thinking whether there was something more in future, or just trust. Our Children's Trust is also suing the US federal government for its inactivity. So that's one way we can change the world as lawyers. The other, more everyday way is actually stepping in those cases when the administrative authorities who should step in are not doing their job. Challenging both the authorities themselves as well as private persons on their wrongdoings. But it is and this very much relates to the biodiversity as one of the focus issues here, but there's this one key tool that we need that underlies, that is like a prerequisite for us of successfully fulfilling both of these roles, and that is the third topic on the agenda, access to justice. We can't get around it. We have to have rules in place that ensure that we as environmental lawyers can fulfill the role that we have been entrusted with. To sum it up shortly, I've taken up enough of your time, I think. My hope for this meeting is that within those 3 days, we will share ideas and learn from each other how to best fulfill the role that and the tasks that are ahead of us. I wish you a good conference.